manifesting has become this big trend, as some of you might know. And it's basically all about realizing or manifesting your so-called dream life, basically making your deepest desires a reality. I often have to think of this quote by Jim Carrey. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but something like, I wish everyone could experience to be rich and famous, to realize that it's not the answer, or something like that. And I believe this is because we not just simply manifest what we want or desire, we also very much manifest the shadows of what we avoid. And on a very basic and visceral level, I'm referring to the emotions we avoid, especially those emotions we've been taught early on in childhood to avoid or to suppress. Yesterday on my train ride to work and also home from work, I've been thinking about this topic a lot, and I began to realize more and more clearly how many emotions, uncomfortable emotions, I've been avoiding in the last couple of months. I've been pushing away. All emotions that are tied to experiences of loss. And I'm using these audiovisual diaries as a way to reflect on my personal experiences, but at the same time I also feel a very strong collective connection here, also because I know from some of you what you're going through, and I feel this is for me, a very unique and sacred space, I would say. And that's why I also want to invite you to reflect on your personal patterns, maybe together with me, only if you like, of course. When we grow up being taught that we need to avoid certain strong emotions, big emotions like anger, fear, sadness, but also joy and pleasure, very often the case in religious backgrounds. When we grow up like that, those emotions never had a chance to move through us completely. They never had the chance to be fully processed, to be fully metabolized. They never had the chance to be truly regulated. They never brought us back into homeostasis, into equilibrium, in a way that emotions are biologically designed to do. So what happens? What happens is that these emotions, they don't just go away. If they don't get metabolized, they get, stored in fragments in our system. The body keeps the score. That's something most of us know by now. But what also happens is that we begin to manifest in the outer world exactly those emotions that we're trying to avoid, that we're trying not to feel, that we refuse to feel inside. If we're attracting repeatedly the same relationship patterns, the same, for example, emotionally unavailable partners or partners that reject us repeatedly, if we're getting stuck in jobs, for example, where we're not feeling seen, where we're not feeling respected, or when we might constantly end up in environments that just drain us, where we just don't feel, like we seem to matter. These are all examples for manifestations of avoided emotions. Because avoided inner energies, just think of it, they become our outer experiences. I could tell you so many examples from my own life. Unfelt feelings, they become life patterns, and suppressed states, they become the shadows that shape and that form our reality. In other words, life is trying to present us with exactly those things that we're trying not to face, not as a way of punishment, but as a way to create wholeness and regulation and completion. I can remember one morning I was sitting in the train on my way to work, And it was not long after my sister left this world, and I can remember how I just looked into the room and everyone was very functional, very guarded. Everyone was kind of in their armor. And I just felt so alienated all of a sudden, so dissociated. And then something in me just said like, F it, and I just started crying. And I didn't care if anyone was watching me, because after that, like a friend of mine said like, why did you do that? That's so, I don't know, you made yourself so vulnerable. It's not a good, safe space to do that. But I thought to myself, no, like, I'm my safe space. And, you know, why should I care? Like, in that moment, I've just gone through such a loss. I just wanted to give myself the space. And there was even the woman across me who gave me her handkerchief. So that was like a very kind of nice gesture. Especially in the morning, I feel those very raw emotions. I began to make it a habit to write some of them down early in the morning, like because I feel the biggest pain doesn't come from the emotions, the unfelt emotions. The biggest pain comes from the resistance towards those emotions. So life is simply a way of mirroring back the exact emotional states we're avoiding, almost as if it's trying to help us complete something we didn't get to finish the first time. And it's almost uncanny how precise these mirrors can be. Like the very feeling you're avoiding to touch, like rejection or loneliness, anger, helplessness, or shame, this feeling begins to appear in situations, people, and dynamics around you, not because you deserve it, and not because you're thinking the wrong thoughts, but because unresolved emotions act like magnets. They pull in experiences that match their frequency. It's the psyche's way of saying, this is still here, this is still alive in you, and it needs your attention. So let's say if you avoid sadness, you may find yourself in situations that keep breaking your heart, just enough for the sadness to rise to the surface. If you avoid, let's say, anger, you may constantly attract people who cross your boundaries or push your limits or, I don't know, take advantage of your kindness. Or if you avoid, let's say, vulnerability, you may end up surrounded by people who can't truly show up for you because the part of you that resists being seen, being vulnerable, keeps choosing what feels familiar. And this is also why many people who seem to have it all, like material wealth, beauty, status, fame, and admiration, all of that, why sometimes they can still find themselves deeply unhappy, because outer abundance cannot resolve inner unfinished emotional cycles. You can acquire everything you once believed would make you whole, but if your emotional landscape is still filled with unprocessed fear, unprocessed sadness, or anger, or shame, those emotions, they won't disappear just because your circumstances improved. In fact, reaching your dreams, in air quotes, often removes the distractions that once kept you from feeling what's underneath.
I was old, I was young, I was sitting in the sun. I was tired of the run, I was done. Life was great, life was hard, in a way an awful card. You can't win the losing hand. But the rain stopped falling and the line on the floor was crossed, and the pain I'd been feeling washed away to return another day. I was cold, I was bold, I had fragmented my soul into pieces contradicting themselves. Perhaps it is as it is, how the world is the mess, means that every heart and soul needs to be whole. And the road signs keep changing as the road stretches out ahead, and the mood keeps on changing. All I wanna do is lie down in bed. How are you? Are you blue? I can sense a sadness in you. Don't you worry, every storm passes on. And the road signs keep changing as the road stretches out ahead, and the mood keeps on changing. All I wanna do is lie down in bed.
Yesterday I felt very, very emotionally depleted, very, very empty and numb, and yeah, almost felt no spark, no zest for life, which is rare. And the day before that I did a lot of inner child work, going very, very deep. I started therapy, EMDR, like 1.5 months ago, to work on core wounds. And I always think that our core wounds are oftentimes not just based in childhood, they go like deeper, they're inter and transgenerational, so go way, way back. And I believe it's something that influences us in every single present moment and just shapes our frequency. So this feeling of depletion and emptiness, it's common. It's like a hangover after doing this very intense inner work. And that's just something that I want to say. Confronting our avoided emotions, especially when they run deep and are rooted in certain core wounds. We also need to be careful, and we need to be aware that we need to proceed like in rather tiny doses than just going full in, because that can be quite destabilizing. And even like these tiny, sometimes memories of avoided, suppressed emotions they can set off like a domino effect, like in my case, and suddenly something very deep gets touched and we feel this inner darkness all of a sudden that's absolutely overwhelming. So that said, I just again didn't try to avoid that feeling, that emotion, and I just allowed it to be there. I think there's a lot of power in allowing and in permission, allowing emotions to be there. There is a big difference between dwelling in negativity or negative beliefs and allowing a physical sensation and emotion to rise and fall again. I mean, I woke up with a horrible migraine, also allowed it to be there. And that was actually the key when it suddenly started to get better. And it was weird how giving permission to this emptiness and deep feeling of emptiness and depletion, how suddenly there was this gratitude arising from that. It was just very natural. Suddenly I felt like a spark again, and tears really rushed into my eyes. I think I'm grateful that I'm able not to abandon people, because I experienced many times in my life how it feels to be abandoned. I always want to leave a door open for me to return back to myself, as well as for the people that I care for and that I love, because that's what love would do. And I think gratitude is such an enormous spiritual source. And I'm also grateful for you who's still watching this, for giving me your time and attention, and for this field of connection. That is very warm and real, even though this is a virtual space, but still. So I will read this beautiful, or those beautiful letters now again. Thank you, Janet, so much. Today and right now, since my warm currents are coming back, I think I want to get myself some incense cones. They are from the GDR where I grew up, and they are called Kottendorfer, and you get them only like around late November, early December. I hope they're already there, because I need some of that smell, that woody pine smell in my apartment that reminds me of the season of Christmas and December. I just need that right now. I want to do that, and maybe also get myself some beautiful warm lights to hang them on the balcony. Also, last week I recorded a podcast episode where I am exploring this very interesting topic of avoided emotions a little further, where I'm talking about my own healing journey and why I believe that our avoided emotions actually hold the key to what we're trying to manifest in our life, which is basically always an emotional state. There's always so much focus on the things or the success or whatever people are trying to manifest, when in reality it's an emotional state of wholeness and of fulfillment and of safety that we are all longing for. And for now, I just want to thank you again so much for accompanying me through my last 2 weeks. And I appreciate you really so much. And I just hope that you are safe and that you are well. And I hope to see you very soon. Bye bye.